So we're here with Toby, who played Steam in for Worlds. Toby, how'd you go, mate?
I did fairly well. I got the X2, ended up in 12th place, but unfortunately couldn't break through because of a very tough WCC teammate curse.
Sag.
Yeah.
Sag, you just got team killed by everyone, right?
Yeah, 50% of Swiss team
Oh,
kill.
really? 50%?
Yeah, 3 out of 6.
Who are they?
So I versed Solemn, I versed Steven, and then I versed Noman. Lost to the first two and beat Noman, so...
At least you beat one of them, right? At least you beat one of them. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, like Steven and Solomon did pretty well.
Yeah, it was very tough.
Alright. Show us your deck, if you're ready.
Yeah, so I decided to go against the grain comparatively to all the other teammates and bring Steam Maiden compared to the Sea of Highlander.
Yeah.
That was mainly for the factor of I like the consistency value and
Yes.
the mid-range comparatively to the high ceiling, low floor that Highlander brings.
Yeah, I know a lot of people hate Highlander and dislike a more consistent deck. So, yeah, just show us your deck and let's see.
Sure.
Right?
So start off with the simple basic. We have the fourth Flishma.
Yeah. Why would you run anything there?
Yeah, pretty much the staple attacker for Steam Maidens. This combos up so well, especially with the way Steam Maiden attacks, and yeah, nothing really too much to explain if you know how Steam Maidens work. So yeah.
Very nice.
Next card I have is 2 of the Ragnarok Dragon.
What?
Yeah, this is the old GBT01 Guard Restrict, so it basically shuts down the Grade Zeros, which most of the formats running Grade Zero PGs.
Yeah.
So against a lot of the rogue factors, this card can come up and catch people off guard. So especially in control matchups when you can't really do strong attack patterns with rear guards, this card's useful.
Mm-hmm.
Next card I run is 2 copies of Altered Dragon. Now, the reason I run this card...
Altered?
Yeah, it's a bit of an odd choice, right? It can help bind, but the main reason you run this card is to play towards your win con of Heritage. And that win con is, again, in the aspect of control matchups where either your front row circles are locked or hard to use. That game plan is something to play for, so that's why I run these cards.
Cool.
And obviously, like I just stated, run the 1 Heritage. You meet the condition, you get your extra turn. Pretty potent, very good card. But rarely ever used, but it's for the backup.
Pretty long time to get there. Right?
Yeah, that's right. And moving on to G Guardians, the card that can help accelerate to the Heritage. The 2 Ilishu. Not really just for the acceleration, but for the high shield as well, because this deck obviously set up bind very well, so getting the 20k plus shield is very good, so running through that card. Next card is the 1 Pandora Chimera. This card is niche, but can be very helpful in certain matchups. For example, NLK can help deter them from doing a super high pressure attack pattern turn by tucking one of their rear guards. Therefore, their field setup is not properly set it up to do 2 NLKs, so they can only do 1.
Right.
Yeah, nice card. Next card is running the History Vision Dragon. It's very costly, but it's a very panic button card.
Yeah.
Where if you need the PG, if you have no other alternative, then this card is for that. I've never really used this card much in my life, except for very niche circumstances, but it's just there for that reason. Next card is the 1 Bearlock. Originally I was running 2, but my space is a bit iffy for the other cards I needed. It's really good, obviously, for the fact that this is one of the non-heal G Guardians that comes up.
Yeah.
But either help set up your bind / get extra shield and extra guard for the units you have on board. So, very nice card. Next card is the Rapana. Rapana is just a nice, easy shield value as well, and tucks a unit on board into a grade 0 that you can run. So obviously running targets that are beneficial to be on board too, so it's getting good value out of it as well. Then the last...
Very old school.
Yeah, very old school. And the last card is I run the first G guard for GC, which is Uluru. So I think the best factor about this card is putting back an overtrigger that you guarded with.
Nice.
Very, very good. So onto the main deck. Starting off with grade 4s actually, we'll go 2 Time Leaper Dragon.
2.
Yeah, so if you know Steam Maidens, obviously Steam Maidens can go into the 3 into the 4. I ran 2 simply for the fact of a lot of times I would be unlucky enough to either open it or damage it, so I wanted to run an extra one for that factor. But funny story, in my round 2, I actually damaged one and bound one up another effect before I hit grade 3, so I couldn't actually use a Time Leaper. That was a fun time. Yeah, no, it's just it's a great card to go into for extra field setup and attack pattern plussing. So I think it's just the best grade 4 target you can have for this upcoming card.
Nice.
Next up is 4 copies of the main grade 3 of the deck, Anglisa. Anglisa is just the obvious going into grade 4 card, and then part of the ride down shenanigans and going back into a grade 2, therefore denying stride. What more can I say about this card? That's the main game plan for Steam Maidens. Yeah, ride down's the aim of the game these days, so yep, running 4 copies for maximum consistency value. The next card I run is 2 of the Ill.
Oh, only 2?
Yeah, so this is running a 2 for extra ride consistency after using Anglisa. If you need to, run to a new grade 3 to stride, or if some reason you're playing the grade 2 game for the whole time, you're playing against another ride down deck going up and down, then this card is a win con in that save for using the V Steam Maiden attack pattern to, go through the motions and hopefully kill your opponent from there after you set up some force markers. So yep. And now this last card of grade 3 is a very interesting choice, and that is the 1 Steam Fighter Bali. Now, this is an interesting niche choice. Yeah, the V1. So, the main reason I ran this card is the fact that it's a 10k buff. It's a 23k attacker. And that might not sound like a whole lot to a game plan, but when you combo with a card like Slishma, where you get a use out of this card about 3 or plus times a turn, that's getting 30k value of power plus, that ramps up like crazy and puts a lot of pressure in your opponent. So that's a reason why I decided just to run this as an extra pressure card and power beater. And it has the benefit as well of shuffling the deck, because you don't run Chronojet in this deck, so you'll never actually get a search effect. But shuffling the deck means that cards like your G-Guard that put cards at the bottom of the deck, can reshuffle things without using CB, because a card like Enterana will use CB, where this card won't, which is beneficial for me. So I really like this niche card as a power hitter.
Nice, that's interesting.
Now, moving on to grade 2s, we have the typical Steam Maiden package. We have the 4 Alul. Not much to say about this card. It's really, really good. And the best thing, it combos into my Bali to have good beats. Yeah, it does it all. Goes into the grade 3. Helps combo with Slishma really good. Just a great card. Next grade 2 is the other Steam Maiden package of the 4 Broken Card and Tirana. +3 is really good. Obviously, especially in Premium, having more Steam Maiden targets to combo with the cat searches just makes it really, really good. Not much to say, this card's insane. Next grade 2 is running to Nabu. Nabu is just a really niche good card. Obviously, the guard restrict can come up if you're trying to early aggro, denying things like Hill Guardians, so your opponent has to do awkward guarding if you're trying to 3-lane them, which is really nice as well. And also setting up your bind as well is really crucial to be able to make sure your attack patterns are really good. So we have 2 of that. And then the final grade 2 is the 1 Kurunta. Running it at 1 is fine, I feel, because it's searchable with cards like Time Leaper to do early game stuff. And a lot of times it's just to either tuck into a certain unit you need, or to deny an important piece of your opponent. Like, for example, if they drop a Honolly on board, it helps get rid of that. So, always a good utility card.
Alright.
On to grade 1s, we have the ever amazing 4 Gear Cat. Gotta run it. It's too good. So 4 copies obviously for max value. Being on Vanguard and Rearguard has always been crazy to me, so always been a good ride target in this deck. What can I say? Another broken card. Next, I am running 3 Rollock.
Or 3.
Yeah, so I would like to be running more, but space is really tight. Warlock is obviously a really, really strong card, especially in ride down decks, because you can utilize it for pretty much half to nearly a full swing of the game for a lot of time, so most of the time it's live and really strong. 3 PGs are good.
Yep, I agree. I like those.
Very much so. Now the next card I'm running is 2 Ilul. This is just a really handy combo attacker / ride target. So this deck of mine has 6 good ride targets for grade 1, which I really am happy with, to be able to get good value. And these are also good for the Ilul turn as well, on grade 3 if you're trying to do a kill turn, if you're fighting against a ride down deck. Yep, just a really nice card. Next I'm running 2 of the Arlim PG for Steam Maiden. So the reason I'm running 2 is because I have PG space in other slots. Otherwise I'll be running more since it's easily more searchable. And running it at 2 is enough for it initially to come up for the counter charge, where either you have used one and then the second, or if you had to ride it for some reason, so lost that, use the second for a counter charge. Since counter charge is, for my build especially, a bit sparing, so each little bit helps, so I'm kind of happy enough with the numbers as is.
Yeah, I know a lot of people want to crit counter charge as well.
Yeah, so we'll see about those conversations in the later on. Yeah. Last grade 1 is the Elementaria Sanctitude. Not much to explain about this. It's free if they're on triple drive, and I really wanted to use this in case like rogue matchups ever come up, like worried about, you know, people bringing things like Dimension Police, and I wanted to make sure to always have the out so I didn't get, you know, just randomly blown out. So yep, running the Elementaria. On to the grade 0s. I am running obviously the V-Starter, best start of the run at the moment.
Yep.
And then the other grade 0 main deck of normal unit is the 1 TikTok.
Only one?
Yeah, only one. So running more would be nice, but the thing with my game plan and thoughts is that a lot of the fights are mainly fought with the ride down games in mind. So running GB cards and cards with like lower shield value across the board, especially in the main deck, has been kind of detrimental in testing.
Yeah, true.
So the main benefit of this running the 1 is space for other things in the main deck. Plus this card can be called off like your G-Guard with like Grafana.
Yeah.
So it's always the best target for that. So I'm just happy enough with the 1 as a niche combo attacker.
Okay.
Moving on to triggers. I am running 8 critical. So only 8 critical, which will lean into the rest of the ratio too. So running 4 of the stride crit, so your striding is good, and 4 of the incel crit. Yeah, so the incel crit is like really beneficial for this deck too, because using a lot of Thrishma, Call effects use a lot of soul, and also Enterana uses a lot of soul, so you want to make sure that you have a lot of soul facets to be able to plus with. So happy with this.
Yeah, very nice.
And then I am also running 3 draw as my other ratio, so running 2 of the D draw and 1 of the VPG. So obviously you want to be drawing into combo pieces, so that's why I'm aiming more towards draws. Also another thing is that other people also run the counter charge crit. The thing for me is it's a 5k trigger with a 10k shield as a crit, and that for me is a bit awkward, especially when like you're trying to fight in a ride down game where defensives really are beneficial and dry check triggers need to be really impactful. So I decided not to run those crits and decided just to run cards that get me more hand. And the VPG is just for the niche matchups and guard tricks that may come up sometimes. It's just nice to have draws. And obviously running the OT as per usual, the Dark States one. It's a bit 50-50 about whether you want to go through either the Cray or this one. It all depends on where you want your focus to be. I just prefer the sacky nature of this card to be able to, like, you know, grip it early enough to have a big impact for the whole game, where you could have been in the bad spot where this could win, or sometimes even later could be enough just to give that Vanguard extra crit pressure to close things out.
Nice.
And finally, running heals, 4 of them. I am actually running 3 of the Your Guardians and 1 of the Steam Maiden Uluru.
Yep.
Now, the Steam Maiden Uluru is an obvious choice for the simply of the fact of it's searchable and also combos things with like your Eel grade 3 for the well-known attack pattern from 0 to 3. Ratio-wise, this is more faceted for the premium side of things, especially going second, where I wanted to have more targets to be able to survive decks that will hit high pressure, things like Highlander going first, or like decks like even Spike Brothers could be really painful, so I wanted to make sure that I had more of the Heal Guardians to be able to combat that. Sometimes I felt like I wanted to run more than this, but it is what it is. I tried to just build to what I thought to be the best during that time.
Nice. And there's always some other choices were you thinking of, or
yeah, so I did have some other choices that people can run, especially Steam Maiden targets, since they're so searchable. One of the card I was considering running was the Kulasina, for the benefit of returning key units, especially grade 4s, to be able to, keep using grade 4s, and it also has counter charge as well.
Yeah, because I noticed you're not running things like basically her and the Ribble as well.
Yeah. So the main downside I didn't like about this card is like the fact that your opponent always gets to decide to put something good from their drop zone back to deck, which can include an Overtrigger. And I did not want to have the facet of having this card in a deck where it will be useless if they have an Overtrigger and drop, because I don't want to put a nuke back in their deck. So I decided not to run that card. And again, as you said before, the Ribble. Ribble is actually a really nice card. It can combo off with your discard from Anglisa to be able to call itself out and get some value. Or also with Striding, because you can use it to discard with your Stride cost to over cost for Stride. But it doesn't matter because you'll still get the plus off it anyway, because you're going to call it for its value.
Yeah.
So it can come up, but with my slots the way they were, I decided that I wanted to focus on combo pieces, especially for having for Ilul, so that's the reason why I didn't run this card. Another card you can run is the Emi. Emi is a card that combos well if you're running more of a TikTok heavy focus deck, since it can put itself into a grade 1 to attack and then be time-lapsed into an owl to then bring out either this or another target. So it's really nice for that. What I don't like about it, it is an old card that does not have a gift marker, 10k base, so I have to ride this. Basically, I'm kind of screwed. Yeah.
Basically.
Very, very, very rough.
Very sad.
Last card consideration is Melum.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, so Melum was in my list for a while. The downsides of this card is the fact it's a 5k shield, 7k base. And in a meta where you're fighting for Stride and having to play the ride down game, this card had very little to no value to me in most of my testing. It very rarely came up, so I just decided that I wanted to run more shield and more early game focus. So yeah, those are some of the cards you could consider running depending on your meta or what your playstyle preference is. The good thing about Steam Maiden Premium is like, unlike V, there is a lot of different avenues you can go, so I really like the deck for that reason.
Okay, alright. Any shout outs or last words you want to say?
Yeah, well, just shout out everyone that tested with me over the period to get me close to the top 8 of the Worlds. I was pretty happy with the build and my performance overall, since all of my games that went down to were fairly close, except for when I got blowed out by double. What is it?
Reaper.
No, the Highlander grade 4. The one that gets extra markers? An Escar, yeah. That card is absolutely insane. Yeah, so...
Yeah, I mean, you had 4-2, right?
Yes,
you
yes.
lost the 2 WCC guys, so...
Yeah.
That's still pretty good. Pretty good. But yeah, thanks for sharing your list, Toby. And,
no worries.
And this year, I think you'll do pretty well as well.
I hope so too. Thank you.
Bye.